Call to order the regular town board meeting for the Arundecoit Town Board, June 18th, 2019. Visitors are invited to rise to join the board in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Hush Lorraine.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner. Supervisor Sealy.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a pretty robust agenda tonight. Before we get to that, we have some brief remarks from myself, then we'll move on to public input, and then we'll break from the agenda to do a little bit out of order. We have 3 appointments, whereas the folks here getting appointed are here tonight, and I always say we don't want to discourage them from staying on, so we don't want to make them wait for the entire board meeting. So we will get through those 3 appointments, and then we will have a briefing of the town's annual financial report, or I'm sorry, the financial report and audit for 2018 from Randy Shepard of the Bonadil Group, and then we will proceed with our normal agenda. So first, just a few remarks. Regarding the community center, last month we announced plans for a new community center at Skyview on the Ridge, formerly known as Arundecoit Mall. Actually received a lot of encouraging positive feedback from residents, a lot of really good questions. Excited about the proposal, but really good questions about it. The website we have dedicated to the proposal actually has received over 5,000 hits. And the initial post of the proposal and the announcement received over 22,000 views on Facebook. So obviously a lot of interest generated by this. Just a reminder, the referendum has been set for Tuesday, July 30th from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Christ the King School at St. Kateri, Tekakwitha Parish. That's located at 445 Kings Highway South. The vote would authorize the project to move forward or not. It would authorize the issuance of bonds or not. That's up to the people now. Starting tomorrow, the town will begin accepting applications for absentee ballots, which will be made available at on the town's website, arundecoit.org, or by visiting the clerk's office on the first floor of Town Hall. If you do visit the clerk's office, you can fill your application out, and if you wait a short amount of time, we will give you the application to fill out or take with you on site. Otherwise, we generally mail it back to you for you to return mail it to us. We'll be holding 2 informational meetings about the proposal. The first one has been scheduled for the evening of July 10th. At the location of the proposed project. Yes, that's inside the former mall, the northern entrance, right next to Cindy's Cinnamon Buns. That will begin at 7 p.m. with doors opening at 6:30. We'll have more information about that in the coming weeks. And as always, please visit www.arundecoitcommunitycenter.com for more information about the project. Chief Tantillo and his team at IPD have been working hard on the recruitment end. An informational meeting for prospective recruits will be held on Thursday, July 20th at 7 p.m. at the Arundecoit Police Department, 1300 Titus Avenue. This will include information on how to apply, job duties, criteria, benefits package, among other things that you can learn by attending. Above all, if you feel like serving in law enforcement is a career for you, we really encourage you just to put that first foot in the door. It really is a fulfilling career of noble public service. For more information, please contact police@arundecoit.org. It's been in the news a lot recently. Joe Alquist, a local Eagle Scout, worked with the American Legion Post 134 to make this past Flag Day in Arundecoit really special through the addition of our flag donation box. We've always taken flags, donated used flags from residents, and we have always disposed of them in the proper manner at the cemetery. Joe had the idea to have a certain receptacle for used flags right outside of Town Hall. We collected about 4 times as many this year without any publicity. The box was full within a few days, and we had to empty it out several times just in a matter of a few weeks. So thank you to Joe and the American Legion for spearheading that effort. Like most of my fellow local elected officials on the South Shore of Lake Ontario, we were grateful for the pledge of $300 million in state support from Governor Cuomo to help make our shoreline more resilient. The town is ready to work with the state to identify projects in our community that will best mitigate risk and ensure that our waterfront remains one of our best assets. It will always be our best asset, but we want to make sure that it is not harming property and staying out of harm's way. So we will do our best to work with the state over the next few months to develop resiliency projects that will have high impact on maintaining the shoreline infrastructure and nearby community and economic assets. The day before last week's conference, which was held in Rochester, I had the opportunity to show several members of the governor's cabinet around the waterfront in Irondequoit, give them an assessment, allow them to assess and give them information about the challenges we've been facing this year and in the previous few years. On a lighter note, the farmers market's up and running every Thursday evening at Town Hall from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have entertainment starting at 6 p.m. every market night in the gazebo. The July 4th celebration is coming up. This is Western New York's largest Independence Day celebration. It begins on July 3rd. New this year, we have offering pre-sale beverage garden tickets at the Pine Grove Senior Center during normal office hours. Also new this year, we will have Farmers of the Fest with many of our farmer market vendors on the lawn. The street dance will be on the 3rd on Titus Avenue, the parade on the 4th of July at 11 a.m., and of course the fireworks at dusk on the 4th, and we have a very robust budget again for our fireworks. We want to keep them big and long and brightful and loud. In between all of that, the live entertainment at the Beverage Garden, we have plenty of free activities for kids on the West Lawn, and plenty of healthy food, I note healthy food, throughout the Town Hall campus. Please visit www.irondequoit.org for a complete schedule and lineup of vendors. The annual Police Bike Rodeo will take place this coming Saturday, June 22nd, at the Police Department from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Children must be accompanied by an adult, and all participants must wear a helmet. Lots of very cool things to do with your children at the Bike Rodeo. A little bit somber of a note, or I guess mixed emotions. Last Friday, we wished goodbye and happy retirement to Gloria Romano, who had been a town employee for 35 years. The bulk of that in our court administration. Gloria is a longtime resident, lives on Brookview. She is looking forward to spending a little bit more time in Florida in some warmer weather, but her smile is infectious, and we certainly will miss her around Town Hall. And finally, at last week's board workshop meeting, as we do every month, we honored with our Staff Spotlight Award, Philomena Amadeo, who is our Records Office Manager at IPD. She does a number of important tasks for our department. I noted that we have terrific sworn law enforcement officers in the department. One of the reasons why it remains an outstanding organization is the fact that it has terrific civilian staff as well to support the officers. So well done, Philomena. And with that, we can move on to public input. We had one member of the public signed up. Actually, you know what, sir? I'm going to do this. If you can wait 10 minutes, we're going to have our financial report, and then we'll do public input after that, because we already had set up for the financial report, okay? So I'm going to ask the board to come down. We're going to have Randy Shepard come from Bonadio to give his presentation of the financial report from 2018.
All right, good afternoon, or good evening, sorry. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I think after hearing remarks, I'm going to have to look at that fireworks budget a little more closely next year as I'm going through this. But I do thank you for the chance to speak with you tonight. And I do want to thank Annie Seeley and her staff in the finance department for what they do to assist us with the audit process. Just to give you a quick overview, at least to the public in terms of what we do, we go through the audit process, and then once we're done, there's an audit committee made up of community members that reviews the information with us. We go through it in great detail with them. And then after that meeting, we meet with the board last week we did to go through this in kind of a more detail with them as well. And then the purpose of today's meeting is more of a high-level summary for you folks. Okay? So quickly what we do, we provide an opinion on your financial statements. So the statements are prepared by the town. They belong to the town. You hire us to make sure that those statements are fairly presented in all material respects, and we give what's called an opinion on that. And our opinion, as you can bolded there at the bottom right, is an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that as an audit firm can give. So that's important for you when you go for bonding and grants and things like that. It helps maintain your high credit rating and make sure that what you're doing is appropriate. Looking at this slide is just a real quick snapshot of if the town were treated like a for-profit business. you would have all your assets and liabilities recognized, and that's what that represents. So you've got about $13 million invested in capital assets, so your building, your infrastructure, your roads, etc. Restricted net position of about $13 million as well represents your reserves, some monies that are set aside for restricted purposes. And then there's a large unrestricted net position, negative of $36 million. That represents liability for bonds as well as liability for other post-employment benefit obligations. So you've had obligations that for employees that have worked here to pay health care upon retirement. That's essentially the long-term projected actuarial cost of those benefits recorded as a liability. It doesn't change how the town funds those liabilities. That's important to note, but it just recognizes what those are. This here represents your governmental funds. This is more how you operate on a month-to-month, day-to-day basis. And you can see you have non-spendable fund balance, which represents monies that are prepaid. You have restricted fund balance, which that number should look familiar to you from the previous slide. And you have assigned fund balance, which represents essentially what the town has dedicated towards next year's budget. So at the end of 18, some of the monies that they set aside to offset the next year's tax levy. And then the unassigned negative of 16 million is a result of the capital projects fund. So when, in a government space, when you borrow on a short-term basis, it is considered a liability. And so it sits as a negative number. Once you turn that amount over to long-term financing in a serial bond, that will turn to a positive number for you. So it looks scary, but that's the normal operation for a municipal corporation. This is real small. I'm just going to skip this and go to some of the graphs because it's easier to see. So looking at the general fund, the blue line is your budget, the orange line is your actual, and you can see over the past 3 years, your actual has exceeded budget from a revenue perspective in the general fund. Looking on the expenditure side, again, blue representing budget, orange is your actual, and you can see you've either been at or below budget on the expenditure side for the past 3 years as well. So from an operational and management perspective, you can see you're doing a very good job from that perspective. And then this is just looking at actual revenues and expenditures. So revenues are exceeding expenditures in each of the years, so that means that you're putting more money towards the fund balance on an annual basis than you're utilizing. And then this is just the change in fund balance, the difference between those two amounts that we showed on the previous slide, and where the fund balance sits at the end of the year. So you can see a steady increase in the fund balance for the town, starting at $6 million in 2016 and up just about $8 million at the end of 2018. And $7 million of that is unassigned or unaccounted for at the end of the year. Looking quickly at the other major funds, the highway fund has a fund balance of about $1.4 million, and you can see some of the changes year over year in that. Fund balance did go up about 15%. Revenues were down about 5%, and a lot of that is planned, as well as the expenditures were decreased as well. So spending there was down. And then on the sewer fund balance was about $750,000, decrease in fund balance of just under $1 million. Revenues were down about $4 million, as well as the expenditures being down as well. And I think that is the quick and dirty presentation. I only have a full agenda, so if the board has any questions, I'd be happy to run through those for you. Okay, great. Thank you.
And we're going to move the podium for public input, but just so folks know, we have this is a multi-tiered process. It starts obviously with Randy and his team working with Annie and her staff. Then we have actually a citizen-led committee that reviews the annual financial report with Bonadil, myself, and Annie, and provides feedback. And then last week's board meeting, our board provided a series and sequence of questions for Randy. So it's a extensive process and one that we certainly value, and we thank you and Bonadil for the help. Thank you, Randy. Okay, we have one member of the public signed up for public input. Certainly, after that member of the public has spoken, if anyone else wishes to address the board on any number of topics, they're welcome to do so. I do note we do have a public hearing coming up at 7:35. If you are here to address the board on that, we just ask you wait until 7:35 so that you can get your voice on record for that public hearing. First and only to sign up is Robert Shanebrook, 439 Avondale Road.
Bring it to you?
Oh, thank you. I feel guilty because we've gone paper-free, and I gotta tell Bonadil that, because,
Too many things to remember. I'm Robert Shanebrook. I live at 439 Evandale Road. I need town board assistance. For over 2 years, I've been trying to prevent additional damage to my EPOD steep slope. I've written communications to this board, and finally, out of desperation, at the last month's board meeting, I described the problem. The current status is this. The steep slope is failing. The damaged hillside that has not been repaired, so it is susceptible to another failure like the one that severed the previous water line over 2 years ago. The non-conforming on-surface water line has been on my property without my permission for over 2 years. I'm not aware of the town acting on the September 11th, 2018 violation notice that was given to the people to put on the water line. Mr. Drozell told me he submitted a permit application for a new water line to the town months ago. The town responded in March of this year by having the property surveyed and staked. The only meaningful communications I've had from planning and zoning in the past 6 months has been that they told me I cannot see permit applications before they are approved, even if they affect my property. Stakes indicating the path for the new water line are on my property. To protect myself from the town, I've posted my steep slope property. So I don't want to look out someday and see people digging on my hillside without any notification. In our little neighborhood, the town has spent over $1 million repairing steep slope failures involving water lines. I don't understand why you would take on additional risk by disturbing the failing steep slope when no risk alternatives are available. My requests to the town board are: 1, repair the hillside damage caused by the January 2017 water line slope failure. Remove the non-conforming on-surface water line on my property. Help the Bayfront residents extend one of their existing water lines. Allow me to comment on permit applications that directly affect my property. And finally, I ask that you respond to my communications. Is there any questions or additional information I can provide?
I don't have any. We will respond to your communication in this in the coming weeks. We generally don't respond to each of these from the dais, but we will respond in turn to these points, sir.
I think it's important that permits are being applied for that directly affect my property, but I'm not even allowed to see them. I've filed FOILs, and I still can't see them for at least another month. And I have it's staked out to go right across my property.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone else in the public wish to address the town board? Hearing none, we will now move on to a financial report. Madam Comptroller.
Thank you. The financial results for the town as of May 31st, 2019. Total expenses, actual as well as encumbered, are $15,110,000, or 42.4% of budget, which is slightly higher than the 41.7% of the year that has elapsed. The breakdown is actual expenses, $12,731,000, encumbrances, $2,378,000. Encumbrances are 6.7%. Departments are continuing to commit to services and supplies that will be needed during the year. General fund expenses are right on budget at 41.4%, $8,740,000. The breakdown there, actual expenditures, $7,623,000, encumbered expenses, $1,117,000. Embedded in the general fund encumbrances are installment debt for equipment leased by the solid waste, parks, and police departments, attorney fees, and contracted expenses throughout the town. Included also are the 2019 projected but unexpended energy costs of the general fund street lighting account. Jointly, the highway fund's expenses are within the range of the percent of the year that has elapsed at 42.1%, $2,457,000. The cost drivers in highway are typically labor and benefits, salt, gas, fuel, road work and paving services and materials, such as oil and stoning and asphalt, as well as equipment parts. Expenditures in the library are 48.3% of budget, $1,245,000. The overrun is attributed to the annual bond anticipation note payment of $545,000 for principal and interest for the consolidated library. The unfavorable impact of this payment will gradually decline and will level off before year end. Sewer fund expenses of $1,750,000 equate to 42.9% of budget. Expenses in stormwater drainage total $247,000, and that's 27.9% of budget. So during the past 2 months, I've noted that the expenses excluding encumbrances for the town, as well as the three major funds, were less than the percent of the year that has elapsed, and that is still true this month. 41.7% of the year has elapsed. The actual expenditures percentage for the town is 35.8%. For the general fund, 36.1%. Sewer is 34.6%, and the collective highway funds, 29.7%. So what is also true this month is that the actual expenses, including encumbrances for the town as well as the three major funds, are very close to budget. It's close to the 41.7%. The town is 42.4%, general fund 41.4%, sewer is at 42.9%, and the collective highway funds 42.1%. Revenue received in the general fund is $13,131,000, 62.8% of budget. Real estate taxes are $11,090,000. Payment in lieu of taxes, $197,000, 90% of budget. The recreation program fees are favorable at 58.5%, $189,000. 2 months of sales tax of $638,000 was received during the month. No additional significant revenue was due by the end of May. Regarding the entire town, $25 million, or 71.3% of revenue and appropriated fund balance, have been received to date. Approximately $17.2 million is real estate tax. At the end of May, the library had received $2,483,000, 96.2% of its budgeted revenue. Highway has received $4,174,000, 73.6% of its revenue. Sewer has received 99.1% revenue, $4,007,000. Stormwater drainage is at 98.3% of revenue, $760,000. This concludes my financial report for the month of May.
Questions for the comptroller on the financial report? I know she was very happy to see, despite a relatively harsh winter and a lot of work done by our DPW with the high water, all the highway funds being relatively on course. So I probably just jinxed it, and we'll get a windstorm next week. But with that, I will take a motion to accept the financial report.
Moved.
And second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? report is accepted. We'll move on to approval of minutes.
Approval of minutes. May 9th, special town board workshop meeting.
Motion. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Revisions, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted.
May 14th, the workshop meeting.
Motion. A second.
Second.
Questions, revisions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are accepted, approved.
May 21st, 2019, the regular town board meeting.
Motion. Move. Second. Any questions, comments, or revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. With that, Madam Clerk, we will now move on to item for board action number 4. Under, item for board action, thank you,
Community development.
under community development, yes.
Item number 4, resolution authorizing the appointment of an alternate member to the town zoning board of appeals.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This motion was necessitated, unfortunately, by the loss, which we marked last month and memorialized, of Russ Thomas, a very long-standing member of our zoning board of appeals, but also an upstanding member of our community, someone who we will sorely miss. Later in the meeting, we'll be doing another appointment to fill his place. However, I offer this to appoint a alternate member to the town zoning board of appeals. It would appoint Charles E. Bickett for a term that expires December 31st, 2019. Charles is someone I've known for a good amount of time. She's no stranger to public service, but most recently in her career, she has served as the executive director of Mary's Place Refugee Outreach, which is a outstanding organization that works with resettled refugees, I believe in Northwest Rochester. And she's a relatively new resident, right? But certainly wants the opportunity to serve in public service. And I'm very 2 years. Okay, 2 years is 2 years is an eternity, I guess. Just ask a town board member. But very happy to advance this resolution, and thank you for your interest in serving. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Ms. Bickett, would you please stand up and wave to the adoring public? Congratulations. Little tradition we have. Madam Clerk, we will now move on to item for board action number 16, under Human Resources.
Item number 16, resolution authorizing an appointment to the Ethics Committee.
Motion. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would authorize the appointment of a new member to our Board of Ethics Committee, which is a very important committee that we have in town. It reviews all of the board members' financial statements, as well as the members of the zoning board and planning board, to make sure that their personal finances don't have any conflict of interest with that of the business before the town. And with that, we have a vacancy. I'm very happy to recommend the appointment of Sheila Fleischhauer, a longtime resident who, again, I've known for a number of years, and will literally do anything you ask of her. But she was the first person I thought of, because her job, her requisite career was in the Board of Elections, which really its job was to preserve electoral integrity and make sure our democracy runs, all the wheels of democracy run in motion. And she was an outstanding deputy commissioner of the Board of Elections for decades, and now is a very active member, very busy in retirement, but I thank you for your interest in serving. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Ms. Fleischhauer, would you please stand up and wave to the adoring public? Just so you know, you're on cable access television in front of thousands of people watching, so it's a little tradition we have. Next, we'll move to item for board action number 20. Madam Clerk?
Item number 20, resolution authorizing the hiring of a police officer.
Motion. Move. Second. Mr. Vinette, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Due to a vacancy in the police department, we did need to hire a new officer. This will be a transfer officer, and Chief Tantello will tell about the candidate.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The candidate before you, Anthony Hellebrandt, comes to us from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. He was interviewed by the command staff for this position and interviewed extremely well and was highly recommended. As a result of that interview, he was subsequently conducted testing associated with psychological testing, as well as an extensive background investigation. He comes to us with an exceptional work history with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and we highly recommend his appointment to the Arundequoit Police Department.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of meeting Anthony before the meeting. Very noble career in Wayne County. Look forward to bringing him here. He has a very good experience, and I believe he will start as FTO and be on the road patrol relatively soon, Chief.
The FTO program is to start July 8th and should roughly run about 10 weeks.
Very good. Any questions or comments for Chief or Mr. Vanette? Well, we welcome you aboard. We're happy to have you here, and I know a lot of people express interest in these open positions, so the fact Chief selected you, he thinks highly of you, must mean you warrant it. So with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Would you please stand up, be acknowledged? Finally, in our appointment spree, we will move on to item for board action number 21. Madam Clerk.
Item number 21, resolution authorizing the hiring of an assessor.
Motion. Moved. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Vanette, explanation, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the appointment of Amy Yorstad as town assessor. Amy currently serves as assessor for the town of Henrietta, and she is a town resident here. She's been approved for appointment as sole appointed assessor as required by the Office of Real Property Tax Services. This appointment will terminate on September 30th, and we'll need to reappoint for a 6-year term at that time.
Thank you. Just a little bit to expand upon that. Our longstanding assessor, Enza Maneo, tendered a resignation to pursue another career opportunity, and we certainly will miss her. With that, we went about the task of searching for a new assessor. We interviewed 2 qualified candidates, one of which emerged as impossible to not offer the position to. Ms. Yorstad is a resident. She is the current assessor of another large municipality in Monroe County, so she has a certainly requisite experience. But the fact she's a resident certainly is a plus as well. She interviewed, and I think Ms. Romeo can testify to this, very strongly, very knowledgeable, and I think will work very nicely with the staff here and continue to do the very important job of the assessor, which I've come to value and comprehend more and respect more in my 3+ years as supervisor. So I will note this appointment is effective July 15th. Ms. Maneo is currently serving in the interim as an assessor on a part-time basis. She is our assessor. She will certify the role on July 1st. And on July 15th, Amy will come and fulfill the duties full-time, and there will be the transfer of power. So anything to add, Kimmy?
No, thank you.
But thank you for your interest. Very happy to advance and support this resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Congratulations. Why don't you stand up and wave to the public? Wave to. Wow, just in the nick of time. I'm glad we were able to get through those appointments. I think everyone who was going to be appointed to someone and is here tonight we've done the resolution. So I think with that, Madam Clerk, we can move on to the public hearing.
Oh, got a minute.
Are we a little early? Okay.
I can probably get through one more.
You want to do another one?
Well, it's not on the 7 yet.
What time is it? Oh, okay. Well, let's go on to item for board action number 2 under community development. We are bouncing around. Barb loves me right now.
It keeps me on my toes. Item number 2, resolution authorizing an amendment to the 2019 operating budget to accept a grant from New York State Department of State in the amount of $45,000 to prepare an updated local waterfront revitalization program and to authorize relevant budget transfers and appropriations.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. Ivers, explanation, please, and yes, and then we move on to the resolution you just texted me about. An explanation on the item before the board.
This resolution will authorize you to enter into contract with the Department of State for us to accept the grant funding to complete a local waterfront revitalization program. This will help us to engage in the professional planning services required to navigate this process, pun intended. The funding includes a local match of cash and in-kind services. And so this resolution also addresses the budget transfers required to meet that match.
Thank you, and there's some questions about how this relates to the governor's initiative for planning for resiliency. It certainly can complement it, but is a separate endeavor, correct?
It is. So this is a legally required document. The one we have currently that is our guiding document is from 1988. And so this is a much needed update. And while the efforts with the governor will certainly complement and inform, this is a larger policy document that's required.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, do not kill me. But we have one more appointment resolution to go to, and it is item for board action number 3, because I didn't realize he was here, and I apologize.
Item number 3, reappointing a member to the Town Zoning Board of Appeals.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second. Thank you. Ms. Ivers, explanation, please.
We're advancing the recommendation that Tim Scott, who's been serving as the alternate zoning board of appeals member, be made a permanent member at this time. And he would be filling the vacancy that was unfortunately left by Russ Thomas. And so it is almost he was recently reappointed, so this is almost a full term.
Thank you. And Mr. Scott, what I like about this is, again, the assumption that if you're on a land use review board, you don't necessarily need to be an engineer and an architect. Mr. Scott, again, brings experience in the not-for-profit world, another resident who is interested in public service. So thank you for serving as an alternate, and certainly while the circumstances that warrant your appointment are unfortunate and sad, we welcome you and thank you for wanting to serve in a full-time capacity. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
We're going to the public hearing.
Yeah. Anybody else dizzy?
Public hearing 6 PH 2019-1 on the matter of authorizing a franchise agreement with Verizon Wireless to operate within town rights-of-way.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. We don't have anyone signed up to speak to the matter, but we're going to invite the public if they want to speak on this. But first, I'm going to ask our town attorney just for a brief explanation as to what this franchise agreement intends to do and why it is warranted or necessary.
Thank you. So the franchise agreement is to allow Verizon to have their small cell technology located in our right-of-way. Unlike other utilities that have been traditionally located in the right-of-way, there's no statute currently in existence allowing them to just be there. And unlike more traditional small cell permits that cities have been entering into, the town of Arundequoit does not own any of the infrastructure necessarily within the right-of-way they would attach to. Typically, it's telephone poles or lights. So this agreement is not a lease agreement. It's not conveying any property rights to Verizon. It's just simply acknowledging that they can put small cells in the right-of-way, and the agreed-upon number right now is they can put up to 150 small cells town-wide during the term of the agreement, which is the initial term of 10 years. They will then come in, as we've discussed at the workshop meeting and is set forth in the right-of-way permit. They will still come in for individual right-of-way permits and approvals from the Commissioner of Public Works. This agreement is just essentially allowing them to be in the right-of-way and to have continuous use of the right-of-way throughout the term of the agreement.
Thank you. And we, if you recall, the board, the small cell applications have been something we've been on our radar for about a year now. We did amend our town code to provide for administrative review of the replacement. We did that in the context of the FCC order, which really intended to facilitate the build-out of the small cells to allow for 5G capabilities in communities like Arundequoit. But we want to make sure when doing that, we are providing appropriate oversight to that and ensuring that if people are operating within our right-of-way, we are doing our public service to ensure that they're not interfering with other public utilities or public infrastructure. And also, to a certain degree, they're not out of character with the neighborhood, but to a larger degree, our review is trumped by the need to have the 5G build out. If the cell carriers demonstrate that it is necessary to put it there in order to have that degree of coverage, the town's is not completely hamstrung, but to a certain degree, we have very little ability to reject the proposal. So we're doing this in the context of wanting to ensure we do provide appropriate oversight for their physical placement. Mr. Kiley, one of the sections I think that's most important is section 15. I know at least it was to you because it describes, I think, how the highway commissioner would review these. Would you just want to give an overview of what that says and why it was kind of central to this?
Yes, sir, I certainly can, Mr. Supervisor. So, item number 15 within the proposed franchise agreement will still allow the Town Department of Public Works, myself as Commissioner of Public Works, to review applications that come before the town for the construction of 5G, both the physical pole themselves and the underground conduit which would support the physical pole. This review is critical and necessary to ensure that where the underground conduit would be placed or is proposed to be placed and where the pole is to be placed is really in the most convenient location for other utilities, be it Monroe County Water, the town storm sewer system, the town sanitary sewer system, the roadway itself, sidewalks, really anything within the right-of-way. So this franchise agreement, as council has very clearly articulated, allows them being Verizon Wireless and these 150 small cells, to reside in the right-of-way. Verizon would still need to come before the town to attain a 199 permit to place these items within the right-of-way in coordination with other utilities. The 199 permit process is the oversight for ensuring that public infrastructure is not damaged during construction, public infrastructure is cleaned up after construction, stabilized, and ultimately our purview, our really direction on where this infrastructure can be located. The second part of this section in item 15 would be and requires Verizon Wireless to provide a report where a pole is not feasible. So if a new pole is to be constructed within the town right-of-way to support a 5G cell, they would have to provide rationale and reasons why it cannot be co-located and provide a justification for this new pole. So that is item number 15, sir.
Thank you. Board members, any questions for town council or Mr. Kiley?
No, but I'd like to thank the town attorney for her diligence and oversight putting this together. Thank you.
All right, we have no members of the public signed up to speak on the public hearing, but anyone who wishes to do so is welcome. Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, item for board action 1A, please.
Item 1A, resolution pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to the approval of a franchise agreement with Verizon Wireless to operate within the town rights-of-way.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, sir. The proposed action will execute a franchise agreement allowing Verizon Wireless within the right-of-way throughout the town of Arundecoit. Further, this franchise agreement will allow the supporting infrastructure of the 5G network to reside within the town right-of-way. Verizon has the right to occupy certain sections of the right-of-way as defined by the town. Permitting for the telecommunication devices and the supporting infrastructure will still occur on a case-by-case basis, moving through the planning and zoning process in addition to the right-of-way work permit process. Town rights-of-way are areas designated for the installation and maintenance of overhead and underground utilities, storm and sanitary sewer systems, and the roadway network itself. Disturbances will occur within the town rights-of-way as defined and permitted through the 199 highway work permit. All measures for the protection of underground utilities will be taken. Proper erosion and sedimentation controls, if necessary, will be employed, and all earthen disturbances will be stabilized. For seeker purposes, this is an unlisted action resulting in no adverse impacts to the environment, and as such, a negative declaration should be filed.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Any board members have questions on seeker for the commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item 1B, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a franchise agreement with Verizon Wireless to operate within the town rights-of-way.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would, as Madam Clerk said, would authorize myself to enter into a franchise agreement with Verizon Wireless to operate within the town right-of-ways. This is recommended for adoption after a public hearing was held tonight, June 18th, 2019. And again, as Ms. Smith stated, for the reasons to allow Verizon to be in the right-of-way with a appropriate town oversight, this is deemed and recommended for approval. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk? Okay.
Item number 5.
Can we, okay, I'm just, so I
You're moving
can't see, apparently, and I didn't notice our two sergeants, there in the back. Okay, you can roll your eyes, but if possible, can we move on to back to 15, number 18 and 19? You can feel free to throw your pen at me if you want. Sorry, gentlemen, my apologies.
I thought you
She's never gonna forgive me for this,
Okay.
just so you know.
Item number 18, authorizing the appointment of a police sergeant.
Motion
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Mr. Vinette, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Due to some promotions within the police department, we do have the need to promote a couple sergeants here. And we did get the certified list from Monroe County. The two candidates here are both ranked number 1 and 2 respectively. And Chief Tantillo will discuss this.
Chief, do you want to just go through both appointments at once?
That would be great, sir.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So as stated, we do have vacancies within the command structure of the Arundequoit Police Department and established a police sergeant selection process. The selection committee for this promotion consisted of Deputy Supervisor Perticone, Council Member Romeo, Captain Alan Laird, and myself. Both of these candidates, as you will hear, come highly recommended and have served this community as patrol officers with distinction and honor. The first recommendation to the promotion of police sergeant within the Arundequoit Police Department is Jason Murphy. He's a police instructor, a field training officer, an evidence technician. He has a master's degree in criminal justice administration from Keuka College. He's been with the Arundequoit Police Department since 2010. He's been a member of the Honor Guard, and as I mentioned, technician and field training officer. Prior to that, he's served with the New York State Park Police. He's been an exceptional asset for our agency, has served the community well, and served as a role model for many of our younger officers. The committee highly recommends his appointment to police sergeant.
Thank you.
The
Just go-
second, you want me to do the
thank you.
second
Yes,
one right
please.
now? Okay. Second candidate is Officer Brian Morgan. Officer Morgan's been with the Arundequoit Police Department since 2007. He serves predominantly on the night platoon. He's a field training officer and has been an exceptional role model for our young officers. Prior to that, he came to us with police experience from both the Rochester Police Department and the Richmond, Virginia Police Department. He's been to Tactical Warrant School and Building Search, Interview and Interrogation. He's a taser officer. He's a highly decorated police officer with 5 Officer of the Year awards. I think that sets a record in our department. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the State University of New York at Brockport.
Thank you, Chief. The live resolution before the board is for the appointment of Brian Morgan as a police sergeant to the Arundequoit Police Department. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Sir, would you please stand up? Congratulations.
Item number 19, authorizing the appointment of a police sergeant.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This second resolution would authorize approve the appointment of Jason Murphy as a police sergeant to the Arundecoit Police Department. I just want to say congratulations, both of you. I know there was many qualified candidates, and Chief, Captain, and Jason, and our board liaison certainly take that very seriously, and they're always difficult decisions to make, but made with a high degree of confidence. So we thank you for your leadership and congratulate you on your ascension into this leadership post. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Officer Murphy, please stand up. Congratulations.
Item number 5.
Yes. Actually, not that, we're gonna table number 5. Not kidding. Table number 5, move to number 6, please.
Okay, item number 6, calling for a public hearing on the matter of rezoning 2590 and 2662 Culver Road from R1 residential to MUC mixed-use commercial.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, explanation, please.
Thank you, Supervisor. This resolution before you initiates a rezone application that's being prompted by a redevelopment proposal for a portion of the property that is perhaps better known as the Wambach property. It's comprised of a couple of parcels. The rezoning here is in contemplating the entire parcel so that the redevelopment going forward or in the future will be holistic and not piecemeal. So this application initiates, this is accepting the application, referring it to the planning board, and setting a public hearing date for, with the town board for next month at the regular town board meeting.
Thank you. And within a radius, residents will be notified.
We notify we're required for 500, but our policy is 1,000 feet, and when in doubt, we're more generous. And so those postcards are actually in process of getting generated and should be going out this week to folks. And that postcard will alert folks to the fact that the rezoning application would be an item for board action by the planning board to just review and comment, and then also provides that the date and time that it will be subject to the public hearing at this board.
Thank you. And as is our practice, the board will not take up an item for board action the town board, will not take up an item for board action pursuant to this rezoning application next month. Generally, we take public comment, allow for public comment in the intervening period after the board meeting, and then if we elect to move on, the earliest we would do so would be the following meeting after the public hearing. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, declaring certain equipment as surplus property.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Department of Public Works seeks to surplus a variety of different equipment as seen in Addenda A to this resolution. There are 4 F-450 dump trucks, 2 F-350 dump trucks, 1 F-250 utility truck, and 2 stone mixers.
Thank you. Any questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, regarding sanitary sewer easements at 280 and 300 List Avenue.
Motion.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Kiley?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The town seeks to execute 2 permanent easements at 2 different locations on List Avenue, 280 List and 300 List. These easements are necessary due to the reconstruction of the pump station to occur later this month.
Any questions for the commissioner on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 9, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to a storm sewer located at 1,000 Rock Beach Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Bob, explanation, please.
Thank you, sir. The next 2 resolutions are together, so if I can, I'll introduce them both The
Proceed.
first being the seeker, and the second being the easement. So the town seeks to have an easement over a certain, excuse me, a certain section of storm sewer system located at 1,000 Rock Beach Road. And as such, the State Environmental Quality Review is the first resolution that I'll go over, and then the second will be the execution of the easement. So the town seeks to obtain this easement over the existing storm sewer system at 1,000 Rock Beach Road. This easement is necessary to ensure the flow of the entire storm sewer shed at this location, and as such was referenced in a 1998 Planning Board approval for the redevelopment of the property at 1,000 Rock Beach Road. This action will not result in any physical alteration to the existing conditions, but rather will allow the town to maintain flow through this culvert. This is an unlisted action for seeker purposes and will not result in an adverse impact to the environment, and as such, a negative declaration shall be filed.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the commissioner? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, regarding storm sewer easement at 1,000 Rock Beach Road.
Motion.
Moved.
Second. Mr. Kylie, explanation, please.
This resolution authorizes the acceptance of the easement for the aforementioned property.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to an agreement for internet services with Greenlight Networks LLC.
Motion.
Moved.
And second.
Second.
Mr. Kylie, give us
Thank
the
you.
good news.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The next two resolutions are also linked, so if I can, I'd introduce them both.
Please.
The town of Arundecoit was approached by Greenlight Networks LLC. Greenlight seeks for their business platform to install what they call hubs in certain locations that have access 24/7. They, building out their infrastructure here in Arundecoit, reached out to the town seeking to know and better understand if there is available space at the town hall for Greenlight to install certain equipment for their network build-out. The agreement, which is the second resolution, is for the 20 square feet of space within the town's IT closet. That physical space that they would occupy would then be a reciprocating agreement where the town would receive free internet services to the town hall, the public safety building, and the Department of Public Works. The Department of Public Works here at 25 Kings Highway. So ultimately, the agreement that is to be executed would allow Greenlight to install this hub, these data racks in the town IT room, approximately, again, 20 square feet, and in reciprocating fashion, in agreement, they would provide us free business class internet services for this facility, the Public Safety Building, and the Department of Public Works at 25 Kings.
Thank you. And anything to go over with the seeker? That is a germane resolution.
Yeah, let me just go through the seeker.
Thank you.
So the town of Arundecoit and Greenlight Networks LLC seek to enter into a license agreement, seek to enter into an agreement where Greenlight will occupy 20 square feet of space within the town IT room in exchange for free business class fiber internet services at the aforementioned three facilities. The town will install new electrical services within the IT room to support the Greenlight hub and associated infrastructure. Greenlight will utilize the existing conduit to connect to the town hall, thus there will be no physical alteration or disturbances of soils on this site. The project is an unlisted action for seeker purposes and will not result in an adverse impact to the environment, and as such, a negative declaration shall be filed.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, approving that the supervisor enters into an agreement for internet services with Greenlight Networks.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. As the commissioner describes, the town desires to enter into an agreement for internet services with Greenlight Networks, where the town will permit Greenlight to utilize a maximum of 20 square feet of space in town hall and install fiber optic cabling and equipment at various town of Arundecoit facilities in exchange for free internet service to town hall, the public library, the public safety building located on the town hall campus. We adopted a negative declaration pursuant to seeker and present this for adoption. Any questions or comments? This is a very, very good thing. The previous agreement we talked about was a little bit more complex. This is certainly helps Greenlight with their build out, but also if you've worked at town hall for many years, you know internet service is something we struggle with here, and a subsequent resolution hopefully will help with our IT and information technology in general. But this is a nice resolution to present. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, authorizing a transfer of funds from the general fund balance to information technology projects contracted services account.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. At the town board workshop, the town board approved the bid for a new phone system to be installed in all town facilities. This resolution is the second part to this project. So the phone systems here currently at the town hall and at every facility owned by the town run on old Ethernet cabling. Necessary to actually we have the necessity to install brand new Cat 5e /6A data and phone cabling to support the new phone system. This is something that was understood, acknowledged during last year's budget process. We actually had this at one time in our capital improvement plan for 2019, but opted to remove it due to the really smaller dollar value in the different facilities that would be needed to be funded, and opted to bring this into the general fund as a fund balance transfer mid-year as soon as we awarded the phone bid. So this resolution would move $170,000 from the general fund to the information technology contracted services line. From that, we would have Kaplan Schmidt, the town electrician, begin to run the new 5E 6A cabling throughout all town facilities, and ultimately invest in some updated firewall and IT-related infrastructure to adequately protect the town at the variety of different locations, be it town hall, public safety building, the Pine Grove Community Center, the 2180 East Ridge Road DPW site, Camp Eastman, McAvoy Park, cemetery, etc.
Thank you, Bob. And just a little bit of timeline here. When we discussed this in the budget last year, one thing we noted was the uncertainty of the bid for the phones. Knowing that, I was a little reluctant to recommend, in addition to some concerns over bonding for the cabling, a little reluctant to recommend moving forward with appropriating money for the cabling, knowing that the bids was somewhat uncertain. So we wanted to make sure we had the bids in a position where we were confident with moving forward, and then to appropriate the funds for the cabling. So not necessarily a chicken and egg thing, but we also did foresee, I know Andy doesn't like to use the word operating surplus, but knowing, just given what we saw with Bonadillo's presentation earlier, our revenues have exceeded expenses. So you never like to say this is reinvesting your surplus. We've grown our fund balance significantly. What we like to do with the fund balance is invest in things that will hopefully last beyond all of us, and support not just the town's infrastructure, but our infrastructure and our own physical plan. And what I will say is, if you've worked here really for a while, the phones have been an issue. Bob, Carrie, and I were just on a conference call earlier today and on speakerphone, and it sounded like a conference call from the movie War Games in 1984, because it was very hard to hear. And I don't know if that was the equipment or the circuiting or a little bit of both, but this is long overdue, and we're slowly but surely trying to catch up, but I certainly think this is necessary. So it's a somewhat sizable fund balance transfer, but one I think is good for the town and our organization. Any questions or comments? I'd also like to thank Nate Stone, who's been working with Bob on this. Nate's downstairs, of course, making me look pretty in cable access television, but he's been working with Bob on this project for some time, and it's nice to see it now moving forward. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a new contract with a vendor for the town's 2019 July 4th celebration.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Excuse me. Ms. Hall, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This original resolution was brought to the board last month, and it had all of our contracts for July 4th Festival. So this resolution is just adding 2 additional vendors, one being Cam's Pizzeria and the other being our fireworks contract. And the board had those contracts to review at the workshop.
Very nice. Any questions or comments? It's always a very fun list to review because we await 4th of July. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, accepting the proposal for inclusive recreation services and authorizing the necessary budget transfer.
Motion. And a second.
Second.
Ms. Hall, explanation, please.
Thank you. An RFP was posted for inclusive recreation services and support, and this would include an evaluation and review of our current programs and services with regards to inclusion, as well as recommendations for new services, support and training opportunities for staff, and continued growth of a recreation program that is fully inclusive for all would be included. We requested responses from 3 organizations. We received 1 response from Rochester Accessible Adventures, who currently works with area municipalities as well as other local organizations. They propose to provide the Recreation Department with the requested services and ongoing training. Rochester Accessible Adventures will provide hands-on training, staff, and community support, as well as assist the department in creating a strategic plan so that the Arundecoit Recreation can enable people with disabilities to fully engage in the town's recreation program. The cost of these services for the first year is a total of $13,500, with 2 additional 1-year optional renewals at a cost of $6,750. This resolution accepts the RFP and authorizes the necessary budget transfer to secure those services for the remainder of 2019.
Thank you. And just to be clear, the contract year runs from July 1st of this year to July 1st next year.
Correct.
So the fiscal year 2019 appropriation is $67.50.
Yes, that is correct.
Katrina, I just want to read the kind of first paragraph of the proposal because I think it really captures our intent first to put out the RFP and why we're happy to go with RAA. The proposal, in summary, is RAA proposes entering into a multi-year contractual agreement with the town of Arundecoit to work with its Bureau of Recreation to evaluate its current system of including people with disability and program services, make recommendations to remove barriers that inhibit inclusive participation, and to support the development and implementation of new operational practices that will enable people with disabilities to fully engage in the town's recreation programs. 2 months ago, I think we were designated an autism-friendly community, and this is somewhat tangential to that, but as we look to make sure that the things we do here are inclusive to all people of our population, and that's whether that's making sure we have captioning for our movies under the stars, or other elements of that which we do, which makes sure all residents can participate. I think this is a good step forward. I know our recreation department is always looking for the best practices out there, and very happy to put this forth and glad we were able to find a qualified organization to work with. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, authorizing an employee to attend the New York State Public Employers Labor Relations Association Conference.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Jason or Chief, explanation, please?
This one's mine.
That's
Thank
yours.
you.
Okay, thank you.
With this resolution, I am asking your approval to attend this conference in Saratoga Springs, July 16th through 19th. The conference is relevant in that it provides resources for professionals who represent management and public relations, labor relations with New York State employers, public employers.
Funding for this conference was budgeted in the 2019 Human Resources budget.
It is budgeted and it will not exceed $1,085.
Very nice. Any questions or comments for Jason? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 22, declaring certain items as surplus and authorizing the sale of said items.
Motion.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before you identifies a number of items that don't have a useful purpose for the Arundecoit Police Department any longer. We would subsequently like them to be declared surplus and sold at auction.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Chief? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 23, authorizing attendance to the Law Enforcement Executive Officer and Middle Manager Training.
Motion.
Move.
And a second? Second. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before you is a recommendation that newly appointed Captain Alan Laird attend this training that's being hosted by the Central New York Association of Chiefs of Police and sanctioned by the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. This training opportunity will benefit Captain Laird in his new assignment and cover such topics associated with best practices for policy development, problem-solving, procedural justice, grant and budget management.
Thank you,
The cost
Chief.
for
Oh, excuse
the
me.
conference is estimated to be at $550, with, which is contained within our training budget.
Thank you, Chief, and excuse me for interrupting you. Any questions or comments? And I certainly support this. I know as an organization, training is something that you take very seriously, and the officers are very much eager to do, so thank you for advancing this resolution. Hearing no questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, adopting a local law to amend Chapter 40 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to officers and employees of the town.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Proposed local law number 3 of 2019 would amend Chapter 40 of the Town Code relevant to town department heads and employees and officers of the town. It would require that they are county residents, a public hearing on the matter was held May 21st, 2019. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 25, adopting a local law to amend Chapter 44 and Chapter 1 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to town recreation services.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. And of course, just because it's been that type of meeting, it wasn't Chapter 1 and Chapter 44. I had to invert them. So sorry, Barb. You have a nice present on your desk tomorrow morning. But kidding aside, this would look to recognize, and this is proposed local law 4 of 2019, will look to recognize the growth and really need to allow our recreation programming to stand out and really operate it as its own department. For the past several years, we've functioned having Parks and Recreation operating under the umbrella of DPW. And given the growth of recreation and our possible move to a larger home base for our recreation, regardless of whether that moves forward, which I hope it does, I think if we want to continue to allow our recreation programming to grow, it's fitting that we have a Department of Recreation, not a Bureau of Recreation under another department. So I've been happy to see that operation over at Pine Grove flourish and a great deal of professionalism. So that's why this local law was advanced, and I encourage the board members to consider for its adoption. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 26, authorizing an amendment to the 2019 budget.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would appropriate funding associated with the July 30th special election regarding the proposed community center, the funding for which will come from contingency that we have in our budget, and I believe all of which will be transferred to various accounts in the clerk's office. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for the evening. Thank you to Madam Clerk. I apologize for bouncing around. You did not miss a beat. Our next workshop meeting is Tuesday, July 9th, 2019, 4 o'clock here in the Broderick Meeting Room. The next regular town board meeting is Tuesday, July 16th, 2019, 7 p.m. right here in the Broderick Meeting Room. I will now take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access. We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access.